peace. Peace is central in all that we do. And today, the states, the countries have gathered to say we should all give peace a chance. So, the Director General, National Council for Arts and Culture, is initiating activities to commemorate the International Cultural Diplomacy for Peace. It's now time to share the handkerchiefs. Time to give out the handkerchiefs for peace, signifying peace. Can we quickly help out? It's now time to share the handkerchiefs signifying peace. The white handkerchiefs to the diplomats, our special guests. Please, can the noise level reduce, please? Can we have absolute silence, please?
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the hour has come for us to officially close this great ceremony of peace. It is for this reason that I may request all of us here seated to please rise. We do this that peace may reign from the four corners of the earth, and all will be their brother's keeper to the glory of God Almighty. Nations are represented here, irrespective of tribe, religion, or color. We have agreed through culture that all will unite. So may I request all of you to wave your handkerchief up of peace and to say, let peace be and reign in this world. Amen. Peace and peace and peace. Countries to countries and love for one another. Amen. And to do this also, I'd like the DJ to put up now Nigerian cultural music that all may dance for peace. DJ. Cultural. You are singing one here. Please dance in your way, your country dance. Don't dance Nigerian dance.
A symbol of unity, commemorating the International Cultural Diplomacy for Peace. In the last 5 days, these countries who have participated and the host country, with states from across the Federation, have all experienced a wonderful time, leaving lasting legacies that will linger on, a breath of fresh air in the creative industry. About 1,200 people have been empowered during the expo. And for Nigeria, these legacies will continue to be a landmark for us when it comes to promoting heritage, preserving our culture as our pride.
We'll take the national anthem. The national anthem, please. We've come to the close of this event. Thank you very much. Nigeria is a great country.
The end of the closing ceremony of the 12th International Arts and Craft Expo that has been live on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority here in the nation's capital. It has been a wonderful...
First in October to this moment, the National Council for Arts and Culture has redefined the essence of doing business using culture. Henceforth, as we shake hands and embrace one another in this temporary goodbye, we are already extending the hand of friendship that you can trust in the years ahead. NCAC means business, and our business is networking and promoting international exchange through culture. Welcome to INAC Expo 2019, the biggest arts and craft expo in Africa. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, we have some wonderful persons in our midst. Permit me please to introduce them. We have here Senator Rochas Okorocha, Chairman, Senate Committee on Culture and Tourism, and former Executive Governor of Imo State. He is the chairman of today's occasion. Your Excellency, sir, you're welcome. Also in our midst is the Honorable Minister of Women Affairs, Dame Pauline Talent, OFR, the mother of the day. You're welcome, ma. Let's put our hands together for her, please. We also have in our midst Otumba Shegun Runsewe OON, Director General, National Council for Arts and Culture, and President, World Craft Council, African Region. A man filled with ideas and innovation, a trailblazer in all ramifications. He has the capacity of creating an ocean out of a desert. Just take a look around you and see the creative ingenuity he has brought to bear in giving this hall a spectacular branding. Let's put our hands together for him, please. We also have in our midst His Royal Highness, the Emir of Jiwa, Dr. Idris Musa, MFR.
Happening
Your
now
Excellency,
is
you're
the
welcome.
closing ceremony of the 12th International Arts and Craft Expo in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. You're welcome. You've been streamed live on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. And for the next few hours, I will be guiding you as events unfold. I'm Ruth Aguala. It's been 6 days of showcasing extraordinary creativity with an expression of cultural integration with the theme exporting Nigerian craft to the rest of the world. Over 30 countries have participated with about 13 states from across the country.
Embassy of Hungary, you're welcome. In our midst too is Syed Mahmoud Azimi, Cultural Counselor, Iran Embassy, you're welcome. In our midst too is Mrs. Ndidi Aimewawu, Acting Director General, Center for Black African Arts and Civilization. You're welcome, ma'am. In our midst too is Ambassador of Venezuela, David Valesquez. You're welcome. Also in our midst is Mohammed Aboseria, Ambassador of Syria. You're welcome, sir. In our midst too we have Chargé d'Affaires, Sudan Embassy, Gazafu Mohammed. You're welcome, sir. We also have the Honorable Member, Ogun State House of Assembly, Honorable Adejojo Yusuf Temitokwe. You're welcome, sir. We also have Economic Counselor, Embassy of Hungary here, the Trade Office in Lagos, Agatha Honat. You are welcome. Also in our midst is the founder and chair, Ben TV UK, and former presidential candidate, mentoring CMDT, Alista Soyode. You are welcome, sir. We'll continue to take the recognitions, please. We also have in our midst His Excellency, the Ambassador of Iran. We have His Excellency, the Ambassador of Trinidad and Tobago here present. We'll continue to take the recognitions. But I wouldn't want to take much of your time, but to inform you that from the 20th to today, 24th, we had special days, and it has been a wonderful experience. Ogun State had its special day. Kaduna State too had its special day. Then we had Taraba State. Then the Nigerian Social Insurance Trust Fund had its day. Other countries that had their special days had to do with India, China, Bangladesh, Venezuela. I'll continue to take recognitions as they come. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, please permit me to invite the Director General, National Council for Arts and Culture, and President, World Craft Council, African Region, in the person of Otumba Shegun Runsewe OON, to give us his brief remarks. Let's put our hands together for him as he steps forward to give us his remarks.
Your Excellencies, Your Excellency, the Chairman of today's occasion, the Chairman of the Senate Committee on Culture, Tourism and National Orientation, the man known for action, the man who never leaves his people behind. My people, my people. Good afternoon, sir. Your Excellency, the Honorable Minister for Women Affairs, my own sister, who I must say it out, he flew in this morning for this program. Ma, we celebrate you. We thank you for coming. The Royal Father of the Day, our Emir of Jira, the father of all the emirs in the FCT, who is the chairman, Alhaji Ali, we welcome you, sir, especially, sir. Your Excellencies, ambassadors of various countries here present, the head of delegations from states, permanent secretaries, directors, participants, delegates, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me a great honor and pleasure to stand here today to make just some few comments. For the first time in my life, I think to say something today is to appreciate first all the international community that are here present. Within a very short notice, we had over 30 countries participating in this expo. I believe all the countries deserve a round of applause. I was taken aback when we had the first day, the China Day, the Chinese Day, and somebody said to us, he has never seen where a Chinese is singing until we have come to Inak. My dear brother there, the head of the delegation, standing before us, said they are planning to take more Nigerians to learn how to sing Chinese songs. And I assure you, we are getting more Chinese to sing Nigerian too. I'd like to especially thank all the delegates, participants, and all, particularly, countries that have days. You will permit me that I need to take one second or two for the countries that have days. Excellency Ambassador to Bangladesh, who had a day, please, if you give me the due respect, to just rise for the chairman to see what you did. Bangladesh, Venezuela, India is right behind you, chairman, and China. Please, Mr. Chairman, I need to let you know what they have done. The day Bangladesh Day here, they came to show us some dance steps, which of course, they've challenged us for a new battleground of dancing competition between Bangladesh and Nigeria, which comes up on the 26th. Venezuela didn't stay behind. I told you something yesterday. Mr. Chairman is the chairman in the National Assembly. So let me repeat it before him. Mr. Chairman, sir, Venezuela have been winning Miss Universe for over 12 years. And I've said to him, Nigeria is taking it over from 2020. And I'll say it before the chairman. So you are prepared. Huh? We're taking it off. So it was a bit worried when I said it, that Nigeria needs to take the Miss Universe very soon. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, China also came. India was here with us with a wonderful outing. This is a platform.
To the successes we have recorded in improving access to credit for Nigerians in 2019. Following the success of the first session, the management of the Central Bank of Nigeria decided to convene a second session in Abuja, working in partnership with key stakeholders in the public sector. And I say this is the real time to hold this. And like we all know what is happening today in the world. I therefore have no doubt in my mind that with the caliber of people from both the public and private sector gathered here today, we will make the desired progress in generating ideas and solutions that will enable greater growth and development of our dear country. This session is more relevant today than ever before, given the external headwinds that the Nigerian economy faces, such as the effects of the trade and technology wars, and more importantly, the recent, indeed current spread of coronavirus, which has emerged as a major threat to global growth in 2020 and perhaps beyond. The impact of the coronavirus across over 100 countries has affected global supply chains as well as demand for goods and services. Commodity prices have also been affected as crude oil prices have plummeted by over 45% since January 2020. Early this year, the IMF had projected that global growth would rise to 3.3% in 2020, up from 2.9% in 2019. However, with the onset of the virus, global growth is now expected to decline in 2020, but the extent of the decline will depend on how the epidemic is contained over the coming months. Central banks in key markets across the globe have responded by reducing policy rates in order to stimulate growth, while measures are being taken by fiscal authorities to build resilient buffers to contain the spread of the virus. But again, let me assure all of us as Nigerians that only 2 days ago, President Muhammadu Buhari constituted a committee headed by the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning to carry out an assessment of the impact not just of the coronavirus but also of the trade wars on Nigeria and profile a solution. But I want to assure all of us as Nigerians that in the coming days, both the monetary and the fiscal authorities will come together and we will bring out to Nigerians and the world our own recipe of solutions to these problems. The central bank, fortunately, had already embarked on similar measures, which has resulted in significant reduction in lending rates as part of our efforts to boost growth. Working with the fiscal authorities, we will not hesitate to deploy additional measures to strengthen our buffers and insulate the Nigerian economy from the global headwinds. As a background, in the last 3 years, the Nigerian economy had remained on a positive growth path. GDP growth has remained in positive territory for the 11th consecutive quarter, following the 2016-2017 economic recession. During the fourth quarter of 2019, GDP growth stood at 2.55%, which is the highest rate of quarterly growth attained since 2016, surpassing the expectation of several analysts who had predicted a 2.2% growth. For the year 2019, GDP growth stood at 2.27% relative to the negative 1.6% in 2016, highlighting the impact of fiscal and monetary policy measures that have helped support growth in critical sectors of the Nigerian economy such as agriculture, industry, oil and gas, and ICT. One of the critical measures that helped to boost growth in 2019 was the impact of the Central Bank of Nigeria's minimum loan-to-deposit ratio, which was initially at 60% and subsequently raised to 65%. We also imposed restrictions on access to open market operation auctions in order to encourage banks to lend to the real sector. Indeed, the banking sector has responded positively with the rise in aggregate industry credit from 15.3 trillion in May 2019 to over 17.2 trillion in January 2020. I'm aware that these loans have been granted to borrowers across different sectors at considerably lower rates. Although a lot more still needs to be done, we intend to sustain these policy measures as it will help support improved economic growth and create more employment opportunities in Nigeria. Some risks. Notwithstanding our current measures aimed at supporting growth, our economy faces considerable challenges. GDP growth remains below our national population growth rate at 2.6%. Second, our reliance on crude oil for more than 80% of our foreign exchange earnings and 60% of government revenues means our economy is exposed to the impacts of the coronavirus and crude oil shock. Projected declines in revenues, as occasioned by the drop in crude oil prices, constrain the government's ability to meet its infrastructure commitments in 2020, which is vital if we are to achieve double-digit growth. Given this challenge, it is imperative that this roundtable session comes up with well-structured funding models that will mobilize funds from banks and our development finance institutions and other financial institutions to fund critical infrastructure projects while providing attractive returns to investors. We must also use this opportunity to consider funding for infrastructure projects that improve access to market for farmers and SMEs, while also connecting the railways to our ports in order to increase our non-oil exports. Such schemes will support greater economic growth and help free up funds for the government to focus on other important priorities. On our part at the Central Bank of Nigeria, yes, it is true that in the last 2-3 years we have been focused aggressively on agriculture, primary agriculture, and a few select industries in the manufacturing sector. What we put on the table is that we will extend our intervention to areas like logistics. A large problem of the problem that we have today is delivering our food from farm to markets. We'll be looking at intervening in whatever needs to be done to move food and food products from farm to market. We will be intervening in areas that will help in improving processing of food from just primary agricultural products even into primary sectors. Given the impact, given the impact of coronavirus, I hear some countries are even deciding that they will ban the export of even pharmaceutical drugs out of their country. So at this time, what do we do as Nigerians? The CBN will also be putting on the table to say, yes, we will now begin to look at our pharmacies and pharmacologists and say that it is high time they stop becoming dispensing people in hospitals. That they will now begin to practice begin to do what they really studied in school, the formulation of drugs, and the development and establishment of pharmaceutical industries will now begin to play a major part in our intervention activities. We will also be looking at the possibility for us to see to it that we reduce the drain of foreign exchange where we find people traveling abroad for common medical checks. We are going to intervene heavily in the health sector by trying to see how we could support the efforts of government to see to it that we develop specialist hospitals that can take care of diagnostics and also surgeries that would normally have taken our people out of the country and then a waste of our scarce FX resources. Indeed, the current oil price shock validates some of the measures taken by the fiscal and monetary authorities on diversification of the Nigerian economy. These measures, which have focused on improving domestic production of goods and services, particularly in the agriculture and manufacturing sectors, are necessary if we are to insulate our economy from volatilities in the crude oil market. We must build on the successes of these measures and reduce our dependence on excessive imports. Credit must go to President Muhammadu Buhari, who has placed considerable emphasis on diversifying our economy away from its reliance on earnings from crude oil. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I believe we can envision a vibrant economy in Nigeria that is less dependent on crude oil. There was a time in the 60s, our cities and rural communities were brimming with activities as industries sprung up in Lagos, Kano, Kaduna, Onitsha, Aba, to mention a few. Rural dwellers supported increased cultivation and export of cash crops such as cocoa, palm oil, and cotton. These activities enabled the creation of jobs, not just for our rural communities, but also for our urban dwellers, while working to stem rural-urban migration. Our reliance on crude oil revenues beginning in the 70s was the advent of our problems in Nigeria. Oil rose from 3% of our total export earnings in 1960 to over 90% by 1976. Today, oil constitutes close to 80% of our export earnings. Our dependence on oil exports contributed to the massive decline of our global industries, indeed, the death of our...
In every field,